Welcome back to Sports News Africa. And we're down to the last four. We now know either Congo DR, Ivory Coast, Equatorial Guinea or Ghana will be crowned African champions next Sunday. To talk about the quarterfinal results and the controversy surrounding some of those games, we can now talk to Ghanaian football correspondent Gary Alsmith, who is in Malabo. Gary, the tournament finally came to life over the weekend with lots of goals and just a smattering of controversy. How did you see the penalty incident which led to that Equatorial Guinea's equaliser?
Well, the Equatorial Guinea game was a bit of robbery and a bit of brilliance, and I feel that the penalty decision was everything that is wrong with African football. Unfortunately, it's one of the things that happens to host nations. But a lot of people were not too... they didn't feel too sorry for Tunisia, because anybody who knows Tunisia knows that in 2004 they hosted the Cup of Nations and they basically robbed their way to the title. So nobody really felt sorry for them. That's not to say two wrongs make a right, but what it is that it was a very poor decision and they went on to win, and it doesn't speak well for African football at all.
What can you tell us about the head of Tunisia's FA resigning in protest over his team's exit?
Well, the head of Tunisia's FA was part of the referee committee of the Confederation of African Football, and his resignation was in protest at what he called distasteful refereeing on the day. It was quite rich coming from him, considering that he has also presided over some very atrocious refereeing appointments in the past, and it's just politics. In a few years, you'll find him back in that position again. Trust me, this is coming.
Now, irrespective of the decision by the referee, Tunisia should have dealt with the situation better, but went into meltdown. How surprised were you by this?
Tunisia went into meltdown, and it's to nobody's surprise. It's typically the way North African teams operate. If you saw the way Algeria even reacted before, during, and after the game, when things are going well for them, they are all sportsmanlike. But when it's not going out for them, they are not typically known to, go out quietly. They chased the ref Sichen out of the stadium. They made sure they tracked him out to his hotel, and a lot of ugly scenes ensued. And it wasn't the most savory of incidents, but I can understand why Tunisia were angry. After the game, their coach, George Lakins, said that in all his 40 years of coaching, it was the most disgraceful things he had seen in terms of the refereeing decision. And really, you have to say that Tunisia really had to take their chances, and they didn't. And even as they blamed the ref for giving that dubious penalty, they would look back at 2 or 3 decisions where they should have buried the game even before the 90th minute.
There are reports of heated exchange with fans in front of the press box. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, yeah, the Tunisia game had some explosive scenes. The Tunisian journalists were happy about the whole situation. So they sort of ganged up with the players and wanted to attack the ref and a couple of officials, but they had to be whisked out with the security detail. That happened in Bata. And then yesterday, the Algerian journalists, they were emotional in the press box, but they didn't, misbehave or anything of the sort. They were just angry at the team for what they feel was not a purposeful performance, but there was no physical confrontation or anything like that. The journalists were just emotional and very passionate about the team, and that's what happened.
Ghana and Ivory Coast are on paper the 2 highest-ranked teams left in the competition. How do you think these semi-finals will be played out?
Well, Ghana, Equatorial Guinea could go anywhere because of the way Equatorial Guinea have shown that, refereeing decisions can go in their favor. There was a really comical moment yesterday when Ibrahima Traore was interviewed, and he was asked about what he thought about Equatorial Guinea, and he said Ghana should be careful of them because they are the host nation and because they have momentum, and also they seem to have referees in their pocket. It was a very funny interview, and essentially it's that. I mean, when you are playing against the host nation, anything can happen, and you have to, as the famous Ghanaian boxer Azuma Nelson always says, stick the referee into the ring and make sure you win before the ref decides to do anything funny. So there, Ghana are definitely favorites, even if Equatorial Guinea are the host nation. But for the Ivory Coast, it looks like they are sorting out their defense now. They are having a spine after, 9 years of being tagged as favorites in the African Cup of Nations. Finally, they are having a spine. And huge credit to Everina for keeping them grounded. The one time that they have not been installed as favorites and as instead as pretenders. They seem to be showing us what they're about. And I think that they can win against DRC. But we will be foolhardy to say that DRC are not a threat, because the way they have played in the tournament so far, they have increased from game to game. They have been better game after game. And I think that will be a very, very good match as well. But the other subplot, let's not forget, is that it's two Central African teams against two West African teams. It's taken Central Africa a long, long time to come this far. And I'm sure definitely they will want at least one of their representatives in the final in patterns.
That was Gary Al Smith speaking to Sports News Africa.